Hello, welcome, Marlon here. This is the preview to today's cookie project. We're making piñata cookies, more specifically gender reveal piñata cookies. If you struggle knowing what to buy to recreate these projects, I've teamed up with Global Belly. They've got everything in a one-click shopping bundle, and all you have to do is press the button. You'll get everything delivered to your door, including the cookie dough mix and the royal icing mix. We're going to start the video with a royal icing transfers, and that template is also included in the bundle. So let's jump into today's cookie tutorial. Now here is the royal icing transfer sheet printed off, and before you start making them, you should always kind of rest your cutter on the transfer sheet to see, first of all, if it's the good size. And in this case, it's going to be in the middle here. If you prefer the larger or smaller, I think I'm going to go with the larger ones, but you can make a few of each. But you should always double check before you start production. I'm not working on the antenna. They're just too small, but I added them just so that you kind of know what the critter's supposed to look like. And now we're doing the wings first, working in white icing. And just quickly, so you're better to just do one side first because you're piping in a certain direction, and it's just easier to constantly be working in that direction. And then when you're done your sheet, you can go back and flip and do the other side. So don't see them as bees anymore, just see them as things you have to kind of fill in, areas you have to fill in. So we're just coming in now. See, they're just tear shapes. And I like the silhouette type of transfer guideline because you're just focused on filling in the area. So I'm just running through the whole thing, and then I'll flip it over and do the other side. Okay? And there. And now, again, I can kind of just work on one side. And don't worry if the wings aren't connecting to the other wing. The body is what's going to be holding this together. The little bee's body. So the wings are really just a dot, and then you pull in. And it's ending hidden behind the body. So it doesn't matter if it's not perfectly pretty under there. And now I'm going to show you the next step. So what happened is my parchment paper is super slick, and so my wings have slid off of their spot. So I'm going to have to reposition, and because this could actually happen at your house, I'm just going to suffer through it and show you what to do. Alright, so now I'm going to pipe the head in black icing, or at least dark gray, and I'm filling in, you see here, the head area. It was just a dot that you pull, and now it's going to be a little bit tedious. I'm kind of sticking those wings into the head, you see, like that, just so that. And ideally, when you're making your wings, should this occur, you want to have them have like some sort of a fuse to each other. Just makes it easier if you do need to do this. I had some other ones where the wings were kind of one piece, and it did make this step a little bit easier. Now once the wings are back in place, now on top of that, I'm piping a yellow dot immediately. And this yellow dot is coming in and hiding a bit of the black and securing the two wings together. And immediately now, again with the black. And you see how it's creating a stripe right there? And once again, grab the yellow. So there's a bit of an exchange of color, but it's not so bad, because you can work through the whole sheet, you see? If I had to do it again, I think I would do the the bee before the wings are completely dry, because then the moisture kind of holds them in place. But there are the little bee transfers. So here's the onesie cookie. I'm just outlining and flooding the whole thing. So when you're doing just an outline flood, you don't need a really small hole. You don't want to have a giant hole so you have zero control, but you can kind of like have a bigger one. And if you're so inclined, you can even dip your cookies. That's even faster, and you have a thinner amount of icing when you dip if you're not a big fan of the royal icing. There, and I'm just gonna shake it to get it to heal over. My icing here isn't quite at the line that I want it to be. And that's it. We're gonna let that dry. Assembly time. And here are my two base cookies. So the bottom is basically what's keeping the sprinkles in there, and the second one is the hole to receive those sprinkles. You can decide how much icing you want to have. I'm going for kind of like a sandwich, like a cake look, you know, on the edge of a cake, the icing. And so I'm adding my perimeter line, and it's going to ooze, and I'm wiping it off. And you don't want the oozing to happen towards the inside where the sprinkles are going to go, because you need all that room for the sprinkles, as much room as you could possibly get. So I'm squishing, and you can see the oozing is happening there. And I'm going to come in with my boo-boo stick and remove that, and it's going to give me my seam. Now you don't have to do it this way. I just wanted it to look kind of like a cake, like a stacked cake. And like here I'm missing a bit, and I'm going to just come in with a damp brush to smooth it out more. So it's entirely up to you if you want to fiddle with the sides. I want it to look like a stacked cake. There's text on these cookies, which can be tricky. I did make a template, and you can cut it out. What I did is, if you look at the letters, calligraphy, there's some sections in each letter that are fat and some that are narrow. And so you're cutting out essentially the fat parts, and it gives you enough information to be able to come in and just pipe the whole word. So you lay that on your cookie, and you can either use your scribe and kind of etch it into the icing, or you can use a marker like I'm using here. I'm using a yellow marker so that it doesn't, like, it's pretty forgiving should something stick out, or you know what I mean? This way it's like just a little bit of a shadow as opposed to a black line, let's say. So here's the question mark. I'm not going to do the actual B word. I'm going to add the bee royal icing transfer that we made. Here are those royal icing bees. They come right off the parchment paper. I had a big one and a little one, so you can kind of see which one you want to use. So what will it be? Get it? This is the bigger version. So you can have that just like so. I traced on some of those guidelines using the template, but it's hard for you guys to see. So I'm just coming in And if you don't want to pipe, you could certainly draw in marker, edible marker, the text here. You don't have to pipe. It is a little bit tricky, and if you don't feel confident, then just do it in marker. It's not a big deal. So whatever you're comfortable with. And now I've got my piping bag. And make sure that you've wiped off any residue icing on the end there. And I'm barely squeezing. I don't want to have a super fat line. First thing, you cut a small hole, and secondly, you barely squeeze so that you don't have big blobs of icing coming out. I'm applying a very, very, very slight pressure. I'm dragging almost also on the surface when it's ending so that it creates like a tapering at the end of the letters. See, like there. The dot super small. Drag. The black icing, kind of, there's like a little bit of residue that stays on the tip, and it allows for this drag tapering to happen. And now our question mark there. Practice on paper before moving on to your cookie. And now I'm going to pick out your bees, find the ones that look the best, okay? And now I'm using that same black marker to kind of do a dotted line to make it look like he's flying around here. So he's buzzing around on the onesie. And let's glue him on. So I'm adding white icing, but you could use yellow just in case it oozes out. It won't show so much. And then you glue that on at the end of the dotted line. And then once he's secured, then I'm using the marker to add the little antenna. They're too small to pipe, okay? And then I'm grabbing my white icing and outlining the whole onesie. And you want to start at a corner. And I'm just outlining the whole thing. There. Well, there's my what will it be. Here's the cookie, and you want to fill that in with whatever color you want to put in there. Now I've got some blue here, and you can get like a variety of inexpensive blue sprinkles and do like a mixture. You see here I've got stars, I've got little nonpareil, little what do you call them, confetti. So you want to make sure that you fill so that it's fun, that stuff comes out, but you also want to factor in that this cookie has to be on top. So you don't want to have like a mound. You need it to be relatively flat, okay? And now you want to keep all those little sprinkles in there. So pipe far so that it doesn't ooze into that hole and solidify all those little sprinkles. So about like that. So you want to do a seam that's going to really seal those sprinkles in place. And now the top cookie, make sure you don't touch the decoration if you just piped it. So I'm just gently wiggling it down to get a really good seal. And I can see here my cookie is a little bit up, like when it baked, I guess, or something. So it's not a huge deal, but this is like, homemade, handmade. So it's sometimes not perfect, but these are not things to fret about. you just package them up and the person probably won't even notice. Here is a cross section of the piñata cookie. Once again, you can see the sprinkles falling out. Super cute presentation and really just a nice way to share your special news with your friends and family. I hope you enjoyed today's cookie project. If you'd like to purchase the one-click shopping bundle, I'll have the link in the description box. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for future videos. And if you'd like more cookie tutorials, you can sign up to my Cookie School group. I have all my templates and all the extras, full English speaking step-by-step tutorials there. So I hope you'll check it out. And I'll see you in the next cookie tutorial.